You're staring at a pallet of cash, not a suitcase, a warehouse pallet. $1 billion in $20 bills weighs nearly 50 tons. You can't put that in a duffel bag. You can't bury it in the desert. And you sure as hell can't walk into a bank and ask for a deposit slip.
Exactly. The moment that cash touches a teller's counter, you're dead. The global banking system is a surveillance grid. Every transaction over 10 grand triggers a SAR, suspicious activity report. $1 billion? That lights up monitors at the Treasury Department, the NSA, and Interpol before the ink is dry.
So you have a logistical nightmare. You have a mountain of paper that represents power, but it's physically useless to you. You need to turn that dirty paper into digital zeros and ones in a clean account. But the front door is locked.
So they use the side door. They stop thinking like bankers and start thinking like retailers. It's called Trade-Based Money Laundering, or TBML. It's the black hole of the global economy. They don't launder money through accounts anymore, Mark. They launder it through washing machines, used cars, and Chinese textiles.
Wait, you're saying the cartel isn't moving cash across the border? They're moving appliances.
Precisely. Cash is heavy, risky, and tracks back to the crime. Cargo is boring. Cargo is invisible. Who checks the invoice price on a shipping container of polyester shirts? If I say they cost $2, but I really paid 50 cents, I just moved millions of dollars of value right under customs' nose.
That's the ghost economy. I've seen this in the field. We'd raid a compound expecting gold bars, and we'd find a warehouse full of generic sneakers or expired baby formula. It didn't make sense at the time.
It makes perfect sense if you follow the money. That warehouse isn't inventory. It's a bank vault. They buy goods in the U.S. with drug cash, ship them to Colombia or Mexico, sell them for pesos, and the money is clean. No wire transfers, no bank trail, just legitimate trade.
And the scale? We're not talking about a few mom-and-pop shops cooking the books.
We are talking about hundreds of billions of dollars a year. This system is so efficient, it's become the primary banking system for terror groups, rogue states, and cartels. It's not just laundering, it's an alternate economic engine running beneath the real one.
So the weapon isn't a gun or a bomb, it's a shipping container.
And a falsified invoice. That piece of paper is more dangerous than a cartel hit squad because it keeps the entire war machine funded. If we don't stop the flow of goods, we never stop the flow of violence.
All right, let's tear this engine apart. We need to understand the mechanics, the how. How do they coordinate this without getting ripped off? How do they move 50 tons of cash into a container of electronics without raising a red flag?
It's called the Black Market Peso Exchange, and it's the most sophisticated money laundering cycle in history.
Let's break the mechanics down. I'm a cartel lieutenant in Chicago. I've moved the product, and now I'm sitting on $5 million in small bills. It's physically taking up an entire bedroom in a safe house. It smells like weed and gasoline. What is my first move?
You don't move a muscle. You make a phone call, not to a bank, but to a peso broker. This is the key intermediary. He's essentially a currency exchange house operating in the shadows. You tell him you have 5 million USD in Chicago. He agrees to buy it.
Buy it? He's buying the cash? At what rate? Because I know he's not giving me a one-to-one exchange. He's taking a cut for the risk of handling physical currency.
He's ripping you off, but you don't care. He might offer you 70 cents on the dollar. You accept the loss as the cost of doing business. The broker agrees to deposit the equivalent value in clean pesos into your boss's account in Mexico City.
Okay, so the cartel gets paid in Mexico. They are out of the loop. But now the broker is standing in Chicago with my dirty 5 million. He's holding the hot potato. The clock is ticking before the DEA kicks down his door. How does he unload it?
He finds a legitimate businessman in Colombia who needs dollars. Let's say an importer who wants to buy heavy machinery or electronics from the U.S. to sell in Bogotá. The Colombian importer can't get dollars easily because of exchange controls or high taxes.
So the broker plays matchmaker. He has dollars in the U.S., the dirty cash. The Colombian importer has pesos in Colombia. They need what the other guy has.
Exactly. The broker uses your dirty cash in Chicago to pay the American bills for the Colombian importer. He sends Smurfs, runners, to deposit the cash into hundreds of different bank accounts, all under the $10,000 reporting limit.
Smurfing. That's labor-intensive. You need an army of people visiting ATMs and teller windows. It leaves a trail if you look close enough.
That's the old way. The new way is structured trade. The broker buys goods directly. He walks into a wholesaler in Miami and buys 5,000 laptops with the cash. Or he buys used cars, or bulk fabric. He pays the U.S. supplier.
Wait, a U.S. supplier accepts $5 million in cash for laptops? That sounds like willful blindness. They have to know something is wrong when a guy pays with a duffel bag.
They call it don't ask, don't tell. As long as the Form 8300 is filed, or sometimes it isn't, the supplier moves the inventory. They just want the sale. The laptops are shipped legally to Colombia. The paperwork looks perfect. It's just an export deal.
So the laptops arrive in Colombia. The importer receives them legally. Customs inspects them. It's all clean. The physical link to the drug money in Chicago is gone. The cash turned into plastic and silicon.
And here is the close. The Colombian importer sells the laptops to the public for pesos. He now has the local currency. He takes those pesos and pays the broker. And the broker takes those pesos and finally pays the cartel the original debt.
It's a triangle. The cartel gives dollars to the broker. The broker buys goods for the importer. The importer pays pesos to the broker. The broker pays the cartel. The money never crosses the border. Only the goods do.
And because the volume of global trade is so massive, trillions of dollars a year, finding these specific transactions is like looking for a needle in a stack of needles. It's economic camouflage.
Let's talk about the hardware involved. You mentioned appliances. Why? Why not diamonds or Rolexes? High value, low weight. That's standard tactical logistics.
Because luxury goods draw attention. Who imports 5,000 Rolexes? Nobody. But everyone imports washing machines, polypropylene pellets, and textiles. The more boring the cargo, the less likely customs is to check the container.
Polypropylene pellets. That's brilliant. It's raw material, hard to value. How does a customs officer look at a pile of plastic beads and know if it's worth $10,000 or $100,000?
They don't. That's the over-invoicing trick. I ship you a container of plastic beads worth $5,000, but I invoice you for $500,000. You pay the invoice. We just moved $500,000 across the border, and on paper, it just looks like a bad business deal.
And the reverse works too. Under-invoicing. I ship you $1 million worth of electronics, but invoice it at $10,000. You pay a tiny tax, sell the goods for full price, and you've effectively transferred value without the bank seeing the real volume.
It defeats the entire anti-money laundering software grid. The algorithms are looking for wire transfers to offshore havens. They aren't looking for the price of tomatoes or ball bearings.
It requires massive coordination, though. You need the runners in the U.S., the corrupt brokers, the willing importers, and the logistics network to ship the freight. This isn't a couple of guys in a basement. This is a multinational corporation structure.
It is. And the bankers running it aren't wearing balaclavas. They're wearing Armani suits in Panama City and Miami. They treat the drug lords as just another client with liquidity issues.
What happens when a shipment gets seized? If I'm the broker and the container of laptops falls off the ship or gets confiscated by customs, who eats the loss?
The broker carries the insurance. If he loses the load, he still owes the cartel. That's why the margins are so high. It's high-risk financing. If a broker fails to pay the cartel because customs seize the goods, well, that's when you get called in, Mark.
Yeah. Kinetic debt collection. That's when bodies start showing up in trunks. So the system works perfectly until the friction of the real world, thefts, seizures, accidents, breaks the chain.
But the system is redundant. If one container is seized, 10 more get through. We estimate that trade-based money laundering moves over $400 billion globally per year. We are catching maybe 2% of it.
So we're fighting a flood with a teaspoon. We're stopping the occasional shipment, but the river keeps flowing. The economy itself is the laundry machine.
And as long as the world wants cheap goods and fast shipping, the door stays open. The cartels are just piggybacking on globalization.
It's not just about drugs, though. This shadow economy destroys legitimate businesses. How does a mom-and-pop electronics store in Bogotá compete with a cartel front company selling TVs at a 30% loss just to wash money?
They can't. The front company doesn't need profit. They need velocity. They drive honest merchants into bankruptcy. That's the invisible cost. Your local economy is being hollowed out by cartel logistics, and you don't even see it happening.
And this funds more than just mansions. This same pipeline moves money for terror cells and rogue state weapons programs. If you can smuggle value in using a washing machine, you can smuggle components out. The mechanism is agnostic.
Correct. The network doesn't care about ideology. It cares about liquidity. As long as there is a disparity between currencies, a strong dollar and a weak peso or real, this trade will thrive. It's basic arbitrage weaponized.
So, what is the fix? We can't inspect 20 million shipping containers a year. The global supply chain relies on speed. If we stop every box to check the price tags, the global economy collapses in a week.
We stop looking at the box and start looking at the data. Artificial intelligence is the only way. We need algorithms that spot the pricing anomalies instantly. Why is this specific shipment of textiles 400% above market rate?
Digitizing the supply chain. Blockchain for bills of lading. Make the paperwork impossible to fake. If the digital fingerprint doesn't match the cargo weight, the crane doesn't lift it. Lock the physical to the digital.
It's a tech war now. But remember, the cartels have unlimited R&D budgets. They are hiring the same data scientists and logistics experts we are. Maybe even better ones, because they pay in cash, tax-free.
So, for the listener, the average guy buying a cheap TV from a third-party seller online, are they complicit?
Unknowingly, yes. If the price is too good to be true, you might be the final step in a laundering cycle. You are providing the clean local currency that completes the loop. You are the washing machine.
That's a sobering thought. The economy is a battlefield. Check your sources, watch your wallet, and don't be a useful idiot for a syndicate.
Follow the money, even when it looks like a bargain, because someone, somewhere paid the real price in blood.
Stay tactical. Watch your six. We're out.